Hello, hello, and welcome to my Lunch and Learn, where each and every week we explore topics to help you elevate your mindset, be at your best, and radically expand your life and business. And today I am talking about something that my clients have been begging me to create some trainings around. It is habits. So if you've ever had some bad habits that you've tried to change and maybe you've struggled with them and you're not alone, you love them or hate them, habits are at work in your lives. And the more comfortable you get with the subject matter, the better you'll be able to work with them and the less fear you're going to have around them. You're going to start freeing your time, your energy for more of what truly matters to you in your life. Now, some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Larissa McCook, author of Stop Procrastinating Your Life Away, Discover the Secrets to More Time, Money, and Freedom. I am a master results coach and CEO of Abundance Academy, where we work with professional women that are ready for their next level of success. We help them connect to who they are at a deeper level so they can radically expand their lives and businesses. So I'd love to know where you are coming in from. And if you're tuning in by replay, type in replay in the chat. And if it's your very first time, type in first time in the chat because I truly do appreciate you. I thank you for being here and I appreciate your presence. So, oh, beautiful. I've got my tea coming. Marley, can I get a spoon with that as well? Can I have a tablespoon? I've got an experiment I'm going to show you, a little demonstration. And so for years, I heard my mentor, Bob Proctor, talking about this thing called the knowing doing gap. And a lot of times, like over the course of my personal growth journey, I'd heard people talk about habits. But until Bob really started talking about this knowing doing gap, it never really hit me. And so a lot of people, they know what they need to do, right? They know where they are, they know what they need to do, and they just don't do it. So here's where you are, here's where you need to get to, and you know what you actually need to do to move ahead, but you just don't do it. It's like you're stuck. You're like, yeah, I see the path, I see the ideas, and it's just not happening. Why am I not doing it? Well, a part of it is that you've got unconscious paradigms and beliefs holding you stuck. They are getting in your way. And another part of it is that you're simply not in the habit of doing what it is that you need to do. And whenever you have something new that comes into your life, it's new. And if you've never learned how to do it and do it consistently, you've got to build the muscle, and that takes effort. Once you've built the muscle and attained a certain level of success, it becomes a habit. And so what is a habit? Okay. A habit is a fixed routine performed regularly. I am in the habit of drinking water every day. I drink a lot of water. It tastes good, makes me feel good, hydrates my body, nourishes me from the inside out. These are also fixed ideas in the unconscious mind that cause you to do things without thought. So I consciously thought of drinking that water because I'm talking to you and I wanted to give you an example. But when I'm sitting at my desk, I might be working and I'm like thirsty and I just reach for the glass and pick it up. I don't really give it a lot of thought. Thirsty, reach for the glass and pick it up. Thirsty. Okay. It's an unconscious fixed idea that if I drink water, I won't be thirsty anymore and I'll feel better. Maybe I'll have more alertness, I'll have more brain capacity, and it feels good. Now, when these behaviors are or become nearly involuntary, this is really when they become a habit. It's not something you think about. It's not something you give a lot of brain cells to. At first, it might be difficult to start. However, once you've run the drills, you don't think about it, and it's actually very little energy that you're expending to do this habit. It's just something that naturally happens automatically. You don't spend time thinking about it. You repeat it regularly and repeatedly. Now, what you need to know is today I'm not going to do an exhaustive lesson about habits and how to change them. I've done that on a few other Lunch and Learn episodes and outlined habits in more detail. So if you're interested in more detail about habits, just message me or my team on any of our social media platforms, or you can even email hello at myabundanceacademy.ca. So hello at myabundanceacademy.ca, and just request, can you send me the social links about habits, and we will get them to you. Okay, I promise. My team and I, we have some really great episodes that we've done, and you can plug into them. So what I do want to do today is something different and just share some interesting facts about these habits that can help you manage your expectations and do a better job of actually following the recipes outlined for habit change. So first and foremost, your life is a sum of all your habits, whether they're good or they're bad. Doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter if they're good or bad. Good or bad doesn't really exist. It's someone's perception. But the results in your life are a direct reflection of where your belief system is set, so your inner belief system and where your heart is, and the actions you've taken as a result of that belief system. Okay, so the habits are the actions that you've taken. And let's say if you believe you're a messy person, you're just not going to clean up. If you believe you're a tidy person, you will clean up. And sometimes things like just doing the dishes right after you eat becomes a habit. Loading or unloading the dishwasher becomes a habit. For us, making the bed becomes a habit. When my husband and I moved in, we were living in a construction zone, and I said, I cannot live like this. I need like one room where it feels like a home. And if I have that one room, I'll be good. And so the rule was, we don't have dirty clothes in our room. Our bedroom stays really tidy, and we make the bed every day. The last person out of bed makes the bed, and we make our bed every single day. It's just what we do. And so it's if you believe you can't, you won't try. Like, just like Wayne Gretzky says, you will miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If you can believe you can, then you will try, and you'll fall and get up again, fall and get up again, fall and get up again. And if you're in the habit of getting up when you fall, it's a good habit to be in, you'll keep moving forward. And so your habits, the habits that you're in, they're very closely tied to your belief system. We've also done some really great trainings on beliefs. If you are interested in those, we can pass those along to you. But they're very closely tied to your belief system, and it's critical that you are aware of your habits and how they have an impact on you. Sometimes these habits seem simple and silly. It's like, oh, well, I'm just going to watch TV at the end of the day to relax. Okay. What are you watching, and what are the stories and the things that are being imprinted in your mind? Is it constructive? Is it enhancing your life, or is it taking away? Are you watching dramas and things that cause you to think about awful things throughout the night, or cause you to start bickering with your spouse, or creating drama with your friends? Or are you watching things that are truly powerful and constructive for you? Often they don't have visible effects right off the bat, but sooner than later, they have a lasting difference. Now, my clients and I, we've been reading this book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. We just started it, and it's powerful. There's a great story about three friends, one of which starts watching TV, drinking a beer, and he creates this bar in his house because he wants to have a relaxed lifestyle. And at first, it doesn't really, he has like an extra beer a week. He watches a little more TV, starts baking for his family. Nothing really changes. And the other friend, he decides that he's going to start reducing his calorie intake by 125 calories, not a lot. And then he's going to read 10 pages of a motivational book or an inspirational book and listen to personal growth audios in the car. Well, a year later, year and a half later, not much difference is happening between these friends. But 2.5 years later, all of a sudden, the one friend is 30 pounds lighter, thriving in his relationships, thriving in his career, and living a beautiful life. And the other one is starting to pick fights with his wife, and he's unhappy in his marriage. He's struggling in his career, and he's sluggish because of all the baking and all the bad food he's been making that's been impacting his mood. And these things have a ripple effect that we don't see. So it's really critical that we make sure we have a vision. Okay. So I think one of the big things when it comes to this, your life is a sum of all your habits, good or bad. If you don't have a vision that you're drawn to, that you're moving towards, that you're building and designing your life around, that you can create habits specifically tailored to that, you're not going to be moving in any direction. You're going to be like, oh, I need to relax. Well, do you need to relax? Does that align with your future self? And how specifically do you relax? And I think this is really critical. When you have a crystal clear vision, you can start being deliberate with the habits that you choose to take and choose to stop. Okay. Otherwise, it's a whole lot of work for no reason. I have a chapter in my Stop Procrastinating book about vision, purpose, and goals, and really outline how you can create that life's vision for yourself. This is like baby step one, but it's one of the most important steps that can pave the path for where you're going. Okay. Step two, interesting fact number two, is it takes an average of 66 days before a new habit takes root in your brain. And so in the 1960s, Dr. Maxwell Maltz said, he wrote a book where he talked about the psychology of change, the psychology of physical change. And he said when a patient undergoes plastic surgery, it takes about 21 days, as he observed, for them to see their new face. If someone had to have an amputation, it took them about 21 days to get used to this phantom limb, this missing limb, and just get used to their new body. And so that's something he said in his book, and he didn't say it as a claim of any kind. He just said this is his observation. And this book exploded in the personal growth industry, and it was so many people have talked about it and have shared it, and it was kind of like this game of telephone tag where 21 days to create a habit became commonplace. And if everyone talks about it, then eventually everyone starts to believe it, but it's actually a myth. And there was a social psychologist, a health psychology researcher, Philippa Lally, and she worked at the University College London's Research Center. And she and her team examined over 96 people over a 12-week period, and each person chose a habit. And for this 12 weeks, they reported whether they did it or whether they didn't and how automatic it felt. And some people were doing simple things like drinking a bottle of water with lunch, and others chose more difficult tasks like running 15 minutes before dinner. And at the end, what they found was it took about 2 months for the new behavior to become automatic, and on average, 66 days. And this isn't an absolute. Research shows it's approximately 66 days, but it can also vary depending on the behavior, depending on the person, depending on the circumstance. And so for some people, it might take longer. It might take you 6 to 8 months to really build a habit into your life, depending on what the habit is. And for others, it might be a week or two. It's not the quantity of time, but the point is, if this is a true habit that you're building, you're going to cross the 1 month, 2 month, 8 month, 10 month threshold anyway, and you're going to keep doing this for life. Don't say, oh, I've done my 21 days, check, now it's a habit. You just keep doing it, and eventually it does feel automatic. So I think what I wanted to talk about with this is, yes, it takes an average of 66 days, but we live in this instant microwave lifestyle where we expect everything to happen right away. And we don't have the patience to stick with it and to sit with it. So if you're truly creating habit, it doesn't matter how long it's going to take you, keep going until it's actually a habit for you. And once it's a habit, you just keep doing it. And then you can consciously practice and invite another habit into your life. You only need to do 1, maybe 2 habits at a time that you consciously adopt. Otherwise, if you try to do too much too fast, it's not going to stick. Okay. So pick one habit, whether it takes 21 days, 66 days, 166 days, keep going until it's a habit for you. Okay. What they also found is it didn't matter if you messed up, if you fall off the wagon. It's not like a one and done. It's like, oh, I fell off the wagon. It's not a habit. No. They have a stacking effect. When you make a mistake, you get back on track and do your best to find strategies to keep you on track. Not rocket science, but so often we get into this, oh my gosh, it's done. I just can't just get back on the wagon and just start again. Okay. Not a big deal. Third thing is habits never truly disappear. They are just overpowered by other habits. And I was at a seminar several years ago, and I saw I saw a visual that I thought was really powerful that does demonstrate this exact thing. And so I've got my dandy blend, which looks like coffee, but it's dandelion tea. And then I've got water over here. Okay. Probably shouldn't have put the spoon in the dandy blend. Okay. So here I go. I'm going to take, just because I don't have extra hands, I'm going to take a spoon of my water, which is like the new habit you're looking to create, and pour it into the dandy blend. Okay. So this is like the old habit, and you need to keep going and going and going until this changes color. So you don't know how many repetitions you've got. Okay. And it's so easy for us to think that we're looking for instant fixes, and then all of a sudden this is going to change in 5 minutes. That's not the way it works. But what happens is, because we're very familiar with this side of things, if we let our old belief system and our old way of thinking, our old habitual behavior, taint what we're attempting to do and give up at the first sign of difficulty, nothing is going to ever change. And so this is what happens with beliefs. You have to like really have some kind of massive emotional impact so that the first sign of difficulty doesn't stop you. And you've got to overpower those old habits through repetition, through emotional juice. And it is absolutely possible, but realize it will take effort. Okay, it will take effort, just like changing your thinking. It will take effort. And the more emotionally involved you can be in it, the better. Because point number 4 is cravings are the brain's motivator. Okay, cravings are the brain's motivator. So for something to become a habit, your brain must crave it. And this goes right back down to vision. Does the habit you're trying to create actually align with your life's vision? Do you want that habit and what it's going to do for you more than the result of the habit itself? So I'm gonna share a story. This is something that my son and I did last year. We wanted to get in the habit of getting to school on time, and my son goes to a private school on the other end of town. It is like a half hour, 45-minute drive, depending on traffic. It's not the easiest place to get to, but we love the school, we love the community, so we've decided to make the commitment. But we found ourselves getting to school late because we've got activities and we had all these kind of great reasons for being late at school. Like I told my son, I'm like, I don't want to be in the habit of being late. Let's get in the habit of being on time. And my son is very determined. When he hooks into something, he goes for it no matter what. He is much more committed to things than both my husband and I put together, I think. So it was a habit I wanted to create for myself, and I wanted to really get our entire family on board. And so what we said was, if we get to school on time every day, I don't know if it was for an entire month or 2, without missing any days, what we'll do is we'll get you a Legoland pass. And we all had to work together. If it was my fault, if it was my husband's fault or his, it didn't matter whose fault it was. If we were late, it was late. Okay. And my son craved this Legoland pass more than sleeping in, more than getting distracted with books, and more than getting distracted with toys or arguing and dilly-dallying in any way in the morning. And we got in gear. And at first, my husband was a little resistant. He's like, oh, but what if I'm late? Then it's not fair. My son suffers. Well, that's my husband's trigger. He does not want my son to suffer. And so he made sure to get himself in gear. And you know what? There were a few days where we did fall off the wagon, but very soon, when we had to keep restarting, my son's like, he had a talk with us, and he's 7. My son's 7. He's like, Mom, Dad, like, I want this. Let's get together. What can we do tomorrow to make it better than it was today? And so these days, my son and I, we can get out the door in 10 minutes if required, which was unheard of in the past. And so this goes back to having that align with our vision. We craved it. He craved it. We craved having this dream of something bigger. And so we made it happen. Now, point number 5, interesting fact number 5, is when you do something for the first time, it requires a lot of concentration to do it. But as you repeat it, it becomes easier and easier and easier and easier and easier. And the mental power decreases. It's kind of like riding a bike. And at first, you don't have the neurological connections to do something naturally. But over time, you build that muscle. And so, whether this in personal life or in business, it's the same thing. So, I'm going to give you another example. Last year, I started an aerial silks class where you have like fabric hanging from the ceiling and you climb it and do acrobatics on there. Now, I've been a dancer all my life. Movement has been really easy for me. Anything I've started, I've excelled at. I've usually been towards the top of the tier in almost anything I've done. Not so much sporty things, but like dance and movement and artistic things like that. And so even though I've been quite kinesthetically inclined, I've never actually used my upper body. And I had no idea that was really a requirement until I got to class. And aerial silks is all upper body. You're basically doing chin-ups and climbing. And I did not have the skill. It took me nearly 6 months to climb to the top and start doing a few cool things. It was extremely discouraging and it was a slow build. But now I know how to do it. And I know, and I've got that muscle memory building. It's so much, I've got a level of competence. On the flip side of things, I went to a dance rehearsal last Sunday, and it's been 5 years since I retired from teaching and nearly 8 or 9 years since I've retired from performing and actually been being a student. And so it was like riding a bike. It felt really good. It was an advanced level class. It was awesome. And it was an open rehearsal that a dance company in the city had. I'd never danced with them. I'd never danced with that artistic director, but I knew the basics. I understood the fundamentals and I lived it. I'd eaten it, slept it, and breathed it for 30 years prior to that. And so it was like riding a bike. It was easy. It was simple. It was straightforward. Why? Because I had been in the habit of reciting those moves over and over and over again. It didn't require me a lot of concentration versus my silks class. Every time I grab, I have to make sure to hold. I have to make sure to connect my legs. I have to really think about what I'm doing because I don't have 35 years of practice and muscle memory to do the same thing. You can apply the same thing to sales. If you've never done sales and you're starting a business and you need to have a sales process and sales systems in your own business, but you're used to doing very radically different things, you're going to have to build those skills over time. If you've always been a solopreneur and you're hiring a team, you must learn how to work with other people and be a leader. And these things won't feel natural at first. They might feel exciting. You might have the desire, but you won't have the skill set right off the bat. It's not something you're born with out of your mama's womb. It will take thought, it will take effort until it becomes second nature. So I'm just going to review these 5 tips again. So first, your life is a sum of all your habits, good or bad. Second, it takes an average of 66 days or more, depending on the thing, before a new habit takes root in your brain. Third, habits never truly disappear. They are just overpowered by other habits. Fourth, cravings are your brain's motivator. For something to become a habit, you must actually crave it. If you don't have the desire, good luck, stop wasting your time. And then last but not least, number 5, when you do or notice something for the very first time, it requires a lot of mental concentration to do it. But as you repeat it, it becomes easier and easier and easier, and the mental power decreases. And this is how you free your energy. And so one of the things I mentioned throughout this is if you don't have a vision, if you don't have that North Star that you're working towards, that beautiful thing that is a craving for you, you can be creating habits and they'll be nice and they'll make you feel good in the moment, but they're not going to lead to something big, something significant, and really something that you are designing by default or designing by like in a deliberate way instead of by default. And so really having that life's vision intact is your starting point and foundation to choosing the kinds of habits that you want to create, to creating and choosing the habits that will truly be meaningful in your life. People know you need to eat well, you need to sleep well, you need to do things, but if you don't know why you're doing them, if you don't have nuances as to how they will be a good fit in your life, It's just going to be another thing on the list. And so what we're going to be doing this fall is we are reopening our vision expansion workshop. So this is a workshop we held for many years in the past, and we shelved it for a while, but we are bringing it back just because this is there's such a need for people to really truly revisit their life's vision and not just have it, but elevate it. Details for that are coming soon, so stay tuned. But in the meantime, feel free to download a copy of my Stop Procrastinating book and start going through it, because a lot of these foundational exercises, it is not just a quick read. It's a quick read, but it's meant to be a workbook. It's meant to be a guiding light for you to really start taking yourself from where you are to where you want to be. We have a chapter on vision, purpose, goals. I have a chapter on daily success habits, and so much more, with everything in between, that will absolutely be a huge, huge benefit for you to get yourself in the prime position to create a life's vision and set yourself up for the new year now. You don't want to be thinking about 2025 in December or January. Now is the time to start building those components so you can hit the new year running. So I will make sure my team posts a link to the book in the chat or in the description of this video. So feel free to download it. And again, if you are looking for resources of any kinds I mentioned on habits or beliefs, then just send my team or I a message and we will be happy to get those to you. So until next time, we've got some awesome topics planned for the coming months. I am glad this has been helpful to some of you, those of you that have posted in the chat. So thank you, thank you, thank you